This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Welcome to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Travis.
And I'm Nick.
And like we said, we're without Brandon just for the intro and the outro here. He's with us along with a guest today. We had Toledo Walleye head coach Pat Mikesch. We recorded with him, last week, I think?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, and he's been so good to us. That whole organization has, and again, it's just like fun to catch up with him and his summer. He was I think he was in the UP, he said. So good to see he's enjoying what short summer he got.
Yeah, like no joke. I feel like this has been like for them, it's so short. And then he's in the middle of the offseason. He's also like building a whole team together too. So it's just like, I don't think he ever really gets a real break. I know last year when he talked with us, he's like, my phone's ringing off the hook all the time. So really appreciate him taking the time out of his busy summer and short summer to be able to talk with us, which was good too, because like we did a little intro with him last year, so you'll be able to we'll link that episode in with this one, and you'll be able to catch that one, get a little bit of his history and his background. But it was good to really deep dive into this season. I know you talk to him all the time, but for Brandon and I, we maybe once a quarter we get to talk with him. So it was good to sit down and get his viewpoint of this crazy long season that we had.
Yeah, it was. And in other, news, there's really only two pieces. We only got two player signings to talk about, Noah Moyle and Darby Llewellyn. So two pieces, one the new face and one obviously coming back for another year with Noah Moyle. I think he provided a good bit of speed. I think that was probably the biggest thing. And about a half a point per game per player. So maybe, again, another guy they're maybe looking to take another step. Is you see so much, like we even talked with Pat, like offense going out, guys are going to have to take a step, right? So this could be a guy potentially for that. And then with Darby Llewellyn, this is their third veteran signing. They need to fill out the roster, right? And people are like, oh, it's another body. It's like, well, yeah, it is. But at the same time, he's playing on Indy. I mean, Indy didn't score a ton of goals. So maybe you get him in a new situation. He can just gets a fresh start and maybe finds some offensive touch. I mean, he had 10 goals last year. So if you go back and look at the roster, that actually would have been higher than most people think. So
on ours or on Indy's?
On ours. If you go back and look, it's like I think he would have been right in the middle of the pack. So it's not like it's a relatively impactful signing, right? I mean, you're filling a veteran spot. It's definitely a little different from the past few years where you're getting like the big time veteran free agents, but yeah. I still think it could be an effective piece if deployed properly.
The guy coming from Indy do you think he'll be deployed higher in the lineup than he was in Indy, or is he be kind of like the same kind of route?
I don't know.
Have a bigger role with us?
Honestly, last year was so projectable roster wise, just with kind of who came in and who was already here. This year, I got no idea. Like I have really no idea at all. The only thing that we found out is that Chad Hillebrand will be playing on the wing. So we found that. Pat did allude to that. And with the roster construction, how maybe you'll hear Pat describe it well. He talked about how maybe Bliss was a center that also was net front, but maybe now Hillebrand's going to be your net front, but he's going to play the wing. So Pat goes into that, and just it's going to be a different roster and how it's constructed and how it's deployed. So that's probably the one thing as we'll transition into this that stood out for me.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see what because we still have some missing pieces, and we still have GR, we still got Red Wings to go through, and so there'll be a little bit of a trickle down effect too. So, but let's roll it to Pat.
All right. Well, tonight we're bringing back a guy who's quickly become a fan favorite in Toledo. He's guided the Walleye on deep playoff runs, built a strong core and culture, and kept the Huntington Center louder than ever. Before Toledo, he was a Michigan Tech standout and a championship coach in Green Bay. And of course, if you caught him on here last time, you remember the Burger King Whopper story. We're fired up to have him back, the head coach of the Toledo Walleye, Pat Mikesch. Pat, how are you doing? How's your summer?
It's been good. Doing well. Been up north for most of it. I was actually in Toledo last week. We had a cool little fan event at the baseball game, and so we did some promo stuff, some season ticket holder stuff, and then I got back up here and stay here until after the long weekend, and then get back to Toledo full time.
That's exciting. I'm sure you haven't had a very long summer. You guys played hockey quite a while this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like the 16th or 17th I got up north, and so it's been a good summer. The kids have been around a lot, and so we've been able to spend some time with them, and then not really a lot of travel, just kind of hanging out here, doing our vacation thing in the north.
I just want to start basically by saying thank you to you for everything you gave us last season. Having us at multiple practices, all the post game. I mean, you took so much time out of, your schedule on game days for us. And I just wanted to say thank you to you for all of that, because it was an incredible experience for the three of us.
Yeah, I guess I consider that should be a natural. We're in a promoting league. We need to advertise ourselves. We need people like yourself to follow us, and you guys have such a great product, and you're very respectful of all the players, their time, and everything that goes into what you guys accomplish, and your support's been amazing to in many facets, and the way you cover us so well.
Oh, we appreciate that a lot, and it's been so much fun, especially for Nick and myself, getting to know the Toledo world. Being Grand Rapids guys before, not having much experience down there, to get to do what we've done has been incredible. So yes, thank you. But I do want to look back on last season here, just before we dive into the details of it all. What's a favorite memory that sticks out the most from you last year?
Winning a series at home, that's a pretty special experience. I think we had won every series on the road the year before, so to be able to do it in front of our crowds, to win a championship, a Western championship in Toledo in front of our fans, and being able to share that moment with them was ultimately going to be the peak of it all. But there's so many things during the year. I mean, I think we talk after games all the time on players' accomplishments, the sellout streak. I mean, so many things that were just going on throughout the year that, there's lots of great memories.
Yeah, for sure. And that sellout streak's still mind-boggling to me. Like, my mind still can't process that it's gone on this long. It's insane.
Yeah, and I know the season ticket holders, they're maxed out. They have to keep tickets for the single game attendees, and I think that's one thing our marketing, promotions, ticket people, that's the one thing they always talk about, is we want to treat everybody like it's their first game, and make it a special experience. And so I think we owe so much to them for what they do to make sure the fans really do have a special event. And we're fortunate enough to play hockey in front of them, and have some energy, that from being in such a special building.
That final series, though, you look back at it now, and probably out of the 15 periods, what they might have beaten you in 4 of those. Do you feel like you guys deserved a better outcome than what you guys ended up getting?
I'm amazed we didn't have a longer outcome, to have it end like it did. I thought we were playing so well. Game 2, we didn't play well. We made 2 mental errors that we hadn't made in months, and we paid a price for it. They took advantage of their opportunities, but, we kept on getting our chances. We kept on, controlling momentum of games, and they were playing great secondary defense. We were able to get our first looks. We weren't getting our second looks. Their goaltending was strong. They defended the front of the net extremely well. But, you look back and you can say we won it analytically, but we all know that's worth nothing. So it was, it's still going to grind us for a while. I think that'll be the biggest thing we have to do as a group, is really take the next step forward, and step away from, how things ended last year, and understand the new process begins.
I think too, like it gets overlooked. Like the fans sometimes don't realize like how hard it really is just to win just the one playoff round, let alone get to the finals. Can you explain, like, just on your end, like how that grind really is for you guys on your end?
Well, I think you try to go game by game, and it's so hard because you know it's going to be a tough series no matter who you're playing. I think coming through the Central Division is a beast. The team that outplayed us probably the most periods of any series was the Fort Wayne one, which we scored the timely goals. We scored the late game. We win late. We win in overtime. We got every bounce to go our way in that series, and like it just. But that's playoff hockey. You need to take advantage of your opportunities. You need to bounce back every time the other team scores. We did that year one and year two as well. Is if somebody scored and they made it 1-1, it seemed like we made it 2-1 within the next 4 minutes. Like it was just we were great at bouncing back and staying on task, but you need all those things to go your way. You need to stay healthy. You need, so many things to help you along the way to be able to pull out a series. And, we did it throughout the West. And then we got to the finals, and it just felt like, never did we get that bounce. And, and then you see a puck go in off of our own player or just on a shot from the point that's going wide of the net. Those are the things that Three Rivers needed and to pull out a championship.
Can you speak on that goalie? Like that was just an incredible experience, just like a performance on his end. Like you guys couldn't get anything to go through him.
And he was that way throughout the entire playoffs. It wasn't like he got hot against us, and their team defense was that same way against everybody they played. We went back and we were watching games from each series when other teams would get momentum and have things and try to figure out, okay, where's going to be their breaking point. And you just kept on saying that, you were going to have to score, hard, meaningful goals, and nothing was going to come easy. He wasn't going to give up that week one. And so we went into it prepared for that. And we get a little bit of that puck luck in game one. I thought we were playing well, but, I don't think we were, a 2-3 goal game difference in how that game was played. And, and so it just, that's what you need at that time of the year. And we'll say it over and over again, but it takes luck. I mean, it takes good bounces. It takes, timely responses to win a series. And, we didn't try to do it any other way in the finals. I liked our game for, like we said, there was, maybe 4 periods out of the 20 that we played that, I didn't think we were a stronger team.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, you told us last year for opening night, it gave you goosebumps. Was there any moment this season that gave you that same rush?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had that question in advance because I probably would have a better answer for it. Like it's, those opening nights, the first game of every playoff series. There was a couple of national anthems. I think it was the military night. You kind of catch yourself enjoying the event for that little bit of the game. And, those are the moments that, kind of you wanted to be a fan for a second and just kind of enjoy it. So I do remember the military appreciation night anthem, just sitting there a little bit in awe of what was going on there. And then when they brought the little cancer survivor onto the ice and kind of told that whole story, it kind of puts you into a spot where you just, kind of appreciate everything you have in your own life in moments like that.
Yeah, that one was so beautifully done by the organization and everybody. I still get chills thinking about it. That one in game one in the finals, the anthem, where the anthem singer, I can't remember her name right now. I apologize to her, but when she started singing it in French, I was like, whoa.
That's a great call. I had no idea, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, she's hammering this. Like this is yeah. So it's that is another really cool moment, and like it was extremely impressive how she did that.
Oh yeah.
Last year, so this kind of fun. So last year you told us during the 7 games segments that you guys were going out to dinner. You were one of the guys. Did you guys have that this season? Did you run that system again this year or tweak it at all?
Yeah, no, we did it the exact same way. I wish I had the numbers for you. Out of the 10 segments, I think we won 7 of them. The year before we had won 8 of them. So it just kind of keeps everybody on task during the middle of the season, where they're always checking, hey, where are we at in this segment? And so they always want to know. And it's funny how they kind of just find a way to be very well timed, like, and where you're sitting there going, okay, we're going to finish this up on Sunday. And, this is a huge weekend for you guys. You need, 5 out of 6 points to get this segment. And, it kind of checks everybody in, and they know that they're playing for something besides playing game 42 of the season or whatever it is.
That's a huge thing. I like that you guys kind of break that up, but to kind of fast forward to the summer, a big change for not only you, but the entire team as Alden steps down or steps aside and you bring in Chaz. Like, what was that process like, and how did you know Chaz was the right guy?
Yeah, I'll start with Alden. He's had the opportunity to step away, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, you're not getting rich, being in the East Coast League in any facet, whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, anything that way. So it's a passion driven job on either side, and Alden's given so much to that organization, but he had a great opportunity to go work for his dad, and spend more weekends with his kids, to be part of their athletic lives as well. And you're always missing stuff, and so I think he and I had a very emotional drive to the team golf outing after the season, when he told me. And you're disappointed to lose such an important person. His character is second to none, and he's so loved in that locker room. He's such an important part of it, and that's going to be something that, as a group, as a staff, we have to understand that that's a big missing piece. How many times players would go to him privately with something that was going on with their lives, and trusted him, and I just think that there's going to be a shared responsibility by all of us, with everything there. But in the end, I couldn't be happier for him, because I know he's so excited about everything that's happening. We still catch up on a bi-weekly rate, just talking about everything. And I know he's back. His son's team just started their practices now, and so he's going to be coaching, and I don't think he's not going to come. He's still going to be around us, and I mean, he's a huge walleye, through and through. So. And then Chaz, it kind of all started a full year ago, just with him talking about what his goals were after hockey, and really thinking about coaching. And so I always, for any guys who even think about something like that, I just try to leave my door wide open to them, and to kind of come in and learn, and see what the process is like. And with our leadership core, I always involve them in a lot of our decision making, on bigger decisions, on when we should travel, things like that. And so, I think they feel like part of the room on a regular basis. And so once Chaz had his injury, he was away for a bit there, but once he was back around the rink, he was really wanting to hear our conversations, and we leaned on him a lot with individual decisions and stuff like that, and where our locker room was at during the year. And then as we got closer to the end of the year, we knew that he could be done playing, and I said, if there was any way I could help him get into coaching, do anything that way, we'd love to help him. And then when the Alden thing came, then I didn't want to run to the, okay, hey Chaz, this is going to be yours. I had to go through a process, and talk to some people, and figure it out. But as we went through it, I really felt that Chaz has that unique ability to go right from that playing, and his mentality will not change going into coaching. He really wants to help. He wants to learn. He knows he's got, a lot on his plate, to just get up and running at what full speed coaching is, and the video, and the turnaround, and the responsibilities he'll have of, developing some young defensemen. But the fact that, I've already seen him kind of start doing those things. At the end of the year, he was doing video with our defensemen before a playoff series, just on some tendencies that we could expect when we play at Kansas City and a team that we didn't know as well. So I think he's a natural coach. Anybody that talks to him knows he's a great listener as well as a great communicator. And so I think those are two of his strong qualities. And then you just, the character of the person, makes you want to have him around and to see him grow as a coach.
How tough of a challenge do you anticipate that being for like a player going to coach? Like, how hard is that to do?
You see it more and more now. I went right from playing to coaching. Now I was playing over in Europe at the time, and I started in college hockey. But there's a lot of quick lessons you learn. But if you're open and you ask the right questions, you're gonna pick things up very easily. I'm not worried one bit about Chaz not being able to communicate the game. He knows that so well. It's going to be little things that he didn't expect. And I'll tell a story. My first year coaching, I was working for Jamie Russell at Michigan Tech, and obviously I was a forward my entire career. And he said, "Hey, I'd like you to take the defensemen for the first 20 minutes today and just do some skills from them." And I mentally froze because I'm like, what do defensemen do for skills? I've never thought about it. And so from that point forward, it was like, I've got to learn as much about defensemen and goaltending as I can. And, that's how you become an all around coach, though. You want to be able to coach in every situation, and you want to, lean on the right people that you have to, when you feel that, hey, this might be a little bit of a hole in my game. I need to go to the right person and find out, what's the solution for the issue I'm having right now.
Think of the role he's going to take on to just go from player to coach. Like I'm sure there's going to be an adjustment period, but this summer, I mean, you've talked about it, I think, with Mark, and it's been publicized. Like, you're going to lose guys at points, right? Like in this league, it's a developmental league, and you got three, four, five huge big pieces leaving with Spezia, Bliss, Lewandowski, even Bednar with getting quality starts with him. Like, how do you even start to replace guys like that?
Well, I think the big thing for us was making sure we had the rest of the core that we could get signed. And you're working with a salary cap, but it's right to the penny. And so we were able to get Hawk and Sammy and Keen's done right away, Colin Sawyer done right away, and then we loved some of the young guys that came in for us and that helped us at the end of the year with Ambrosio, Moulton, Hillman. And so it was like, okay, what pieces do we have? Because your free agency is going to be a little bit down the road. Like, you're starting to put a list together, but the players that we want to get are also looking to see if they can get an American League contract. So, there's going to be some waiting games that goes on. And so you really want to get your core. And I felt we did a good job of getting that established very early. McKaylee and who am I missing here? Jed Pietala. Like, so they, we kind of had, okay, there's our core. What do we have to, and you're not just going out and getting the next Trenton Bliss, Spezia, and Lewandowski. So, Tanner Kelly was a player that we had tried to get for the playoffs from Michigan State. He was injured at the end of the year and wasn't going to be able to play right away. And so now it's, hey, we got to recruit Tanner Kelly. And then, Ed Burkholder was able to find us a couple guys in Canadian University that he was very familiar with. And so now you're signing those rookie deals and getting those guys on paper. And then it's just kind of a step by step. Moyle took a little longer because he didn't know if he was going to go to Europe. So it was great when we got Moyle done. McCourt just got, done. And so there was just kind of, it's piece by piece after that. Chad Hillebrand's a player that I had coached in Green Bay. And once, we realized that he was coming off his American League deal, he became a target, and we were able to get that one done. So it's kind of a lot of phone calls, a lot of back and forth, a lot of us waiting to see if a guy's going to get an American League deal or not. And And then, but the entire time, Toledo sells itself pretty well. Like it's when a guy tells me, well, I'm hoping to golf 4 or 5 days a week during the season. I'm like, all right, he's going to the South, so it's you have those quick answers that way. But, it's like all the teams in our league. I think you're just trying to find the right people for your city or organization.
Then obviously you guys get, the core guys signed first, right? You mentioned Hawk, you got Craig's back. Was that just priority one, get the core lined up before anything else moved on?
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can kind of do right away, because free agency kicks in a couple of weeks later, and then veteran free agency kicks in even later than that. So you're kind of just playing, okay, who can we deal with right now? And so it kind of you just work off the league's calendar basically on, okay, we've got our core guys are going to get done first because we have their rights and nobody else can talk to them right now. And so you just kind of want to work through it, as you can. And, as I sit up in Northern Michigan, we're still, looking to sign a couple more guys that, will get us to probably 25 or 26 guys coming to training camp.
You mentioned a bunch of the newer guys, but the one guy I want to ask about, because you've hit the other three, is Ernst. He had a huge year in the was it the SPHL, right?
Yes, huge year. I got to give a lot of credit to this one on Brandon Hawkins. He called me, said, I was with him this weekend. I really like his game. Can you check him out? And so I was like, yeah, I'll dive in. I did some video on him. He's got that unique skill set where he competes. He's got a really good shot, but he's got that blue collar that we sometimes might not have enough of. He's a gritty player, but his skill set is really good. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it translates to our league. When we took Brendan McCallion, I wasn't certain, like how players from that league translated to our league, but I like so much of his game. Like I just thought, he was such an intelligent defenseman. He skated so well. He could shoot a puck. But you'll kind of learn every time you're getting a player, and it's no different than even a player that was on an American League contract. They might have been on that American League contract just because they were a really good checker. And how's that going to translate to what we try to do? And so you're always trying to put a measuring stick on, okay, well, how does this translate to what we want to do?
And then defensively, you guys have pretty much almost you're running it back with Sawyer, McCallion, Pietila, Russell, Moulton. How much does keeping that defensive core that you kind of built in the playoffs help set the tone? And do you think that's an identity that you guys can build from the back end out with losing so much offense?
Well, what we try to recruit is defensemen that can break us out. That is the biggest end goal for us, is to spend as little time in that zone when we should have the puck. And I think that they have to be able to skate. They have to be able to communicate. And, we've been able to find some really good ones. And, Colin Sawyer jumped right in last year. He fit what we wanted to do. Courtsy coming back, fits what we want him to do. He's great on the power play. The Dylan Moulton at the end of the year was just, he stepped in game one, and we were just we got to give him more minutes. He just adjusted so well to our level. And McKaylee and Jed, they all can skate, they all can move pucks, and our forwards love playing with defensemen like that just have that ability to, let's get ourselves out of the zone. And I think our defensemen like the fact that we allow them to get so involved once we do get up ice, and they get to be such a part of the offense at the other end.
And you look at the fans, they're obviously hyped to see, the core guys come back, but the fans lost it with excitement when they saw Riley McCourt coming back. What made you guys want to bring him back to the team?
Oh, we understood when he went to Europe the year before. It was a great opportunity for him. When Riley and I first talked, this summer, it was mostly about how when he saw what we were going through at the end of the year, how he wanted to be there. He felt like he had some unfinished business in Toledo. And the other thing is he's still extremely young. If you look at his age, he could be just leaving college right now. And he's got 4 or 5 years of pro hockey experience already, where if he would have been a college player, this could be his rookie season. And so Courtsy, biggest thing for him is that he wants to know he's going to be a go-to guy, and he wants to be able to play in big situations, and and that's where we're able to offer him that and give him that opportunity.
Sure, Hawk's happy to have his little brother back too.
It's those two at the baseball game even were already chirping each other, and him talking about, well, at least he knows Courtsy hasn't learned how to shoot the puck yet, so Hawk knows he'll be getting it all the time. So it's a cool relationship they have, but at the same time they're both ultra competitive and elite players at our level.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about the goalie spot, because this is the first time in years Toledo enters the season with a contracted goalie. Is it Soler? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, and I had Rylan Parento 2 years ago. Soler was a goalie that I was kind of just watched a lot in college, but then we went and used some of my connections that are a lot cleaner on goalies than I am, and they just loved his all around game, his compete, just his ability to win. He's been a very successful goalie, and so everybody that we talked to felt that his measuring stick was very good against other goalies that have had a lot of success at this level.
Were you in talks with Sturtsy for that?
Yeah, Sturts was involved mostly on the character. Boehner had those phone calls, but I don't think the plan was to get Sturtsy's goaltending breakdown, but more the background, the character, everything that way. But we got the Red Wings provided some scouting reports on him, and then I was able to talk to a couple of the other goalie coaches from around the Big Ten that were able to give me some insight as well.
Is he gonna get a kit? Like, that's, I feel like the one thing everybody wants to see is some blue and yellow.
I don't know. I know is they're ordering them for him. I don't know what colors he went with or anything like that, but yeah, he'll have pads. We do plan on getting him those.
It'll be nice to see a goalie with blue shorts instead of red shorts for a minute.
That's very fair.
So with this season, like, is he gonna be the leading goalie for you guys? Like, what's the rotation looking like? Do you have any?
We expect to get a goalie through the Red Wing organization, and we have no idea who that'll be. But I think there's going to be less goalies in the organization, so there won't be as many just around. So we expect to get one that would be the next guy in Grand Rapids, but ultimately that could take a while to play out, and so that's where we're looking to see. There's a few other goalies that are just coming off American League deals that if we need to go and grab one more at some point.
That brings up a good question too. Like, how do you balance, try to develop for, Grand Rapids and like also working with Detroit? Like, how do you walk that line between like winning now in Toledo, but also preparing players to like move up?
Wow, you hit on probably the question I had the most at my interview when I interviewed for this job, because in that room was the management side for Toledo, and then in that room is Sean Horkoff, who obviously oversees Grand Rapids, and so it's very similar to any coaching role until you're in the NHL. Ultimately, you want to be doing everything for your players to be ready for their opportunity when they get that call. And last year with Carson Bantle, we only had Seeger for a couple games, like Johannes for a couple games. Like, it was you're constantly making sure, but at the same time I want to make sure that Mitch Lewandowski's just as ready to get called up and be ready to go. Matt Anderson's ready to get called up and go. You just want to make sure that your whole team is ready for that. And if all your individuals are improving, your team's improving. So you're gonna win hockey games off of the common basis that everybody's taking steps forward.
When you guys are like out scouting or recruiting, like what's a I guess like non-negotiable, like what has to jump off the page before you even make a phone call to a player?
It could be a million different things. It can be every position breaks down differently that way. I think we talked about the D, and some things that are really important to me are that skating and the ability to break people out. With forwards, you have to have so many different types. You look up and down our lineup last year, like you need to have depth scoring. How do you get depth scoring? You need to have some hockey sense there, but you've got to have guys that can kill penalties. You got to have all these things that go into it. So if we're watching them and I don't like anything, then they don't get a phone call. If I'm watching them and hey, I like this about his game, do we need that? Is that something we still need in our locker room? And so it's a different intangible for everything. So you're just trying to find the most that fill what we really need. And, you start looking at what we lost, you lose a left wing like Spezia and that skating. Well, it was important that we add in some skating. And, you lose Trenton Bliss, who takes all these huge face-offs. He kills penalty. He's a net front power play guy. Okay, how do we go find something like that? So okay, maybe we don't need a guy that can do the face-offs and the net front and the PK. Maybe we go find a Chad Hillenbrand who could be a 6'4" skilled forward at the net front, but he's not going to take face-offs for us. He's going to play left wing. So now maybe we got to go get a better skating center. So there's just all kinds of pieces that you lose that you want to make sure that you're replacing. But back to where we started with this whole thing, that core is guys that we already have so much faith in, and we know exactly what they do and how they help us. And so it's great to have that and then work from there to see, what's important in our next signings.
I do not envy you having to put this puzzle together every single season. It's mind-boggling to me that that's how it goes. So credit to you there. But looking ahead to this season, besides dropping the puck for the first game of the season, what are you looking forward to most this year?
That training camp. You guys are going to work so hard that first week. And then we're going to go play Kalamazoo 2 games. And then after that, we only play 3 games in the first 2 weeks. So I'm considering that our entire training camp. So we're going to have 3 weeks together. We're going to be a younger group than I think we were a year ago. And so it's going to be, fun to get those guys around each other, let them become part of that culture and find their own place in it. You don't want to jam anything into a situation where you think that's the right fit. No, let's let our culture take care of itself and let these guys get around each other and learn about Toledo and learn about what it's like, and why those first 3 games on the road are going to be no different than down the road. All we care about on the road is getting off to a good start. Like, we want to have a good first period and then let things fall from there. We did a great job these last 2 years. We show up so prepared on the road to have a good start. And you get through that first 10 minutes and maybe it's still 0-0 in a boring hockey game. Well, you just took their crowd out of it. And now, we can start taking advantage of our game and our skill and everything that we want to do. But ultimately that training camp of 3 weeks is what I'm most excited about right now.
There we go. And forgive me for not knowing the correct answer to this, but is that doing the preseason against Kalamazoo, since you guys did that last season too, is that just like a agreement between the 2 teams? Is that kind of a league-wide thing? I don't actually know the answer to that.
Yeah, you kind of find your own partner for preseason games. Some teams don't even get preseason games in. It just logistically doesn't work. And Kalamazoo was the Toledo partner long before I ever showed up. And so I kind of let that just take care of itself. It's a simple trip for us. And
that trip to Three Rivers, is that one that's already circled on the calendar for this year for you guys?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as beautiful in February when we go this year. But of course you want to go and have a chance at them again. I mean, it's not going to be anywhere near as meaningful, but it'll be a nice trip for us. That time of the year to kind of get away for basically a full week with the guys, and it's just the logistics of the travel won't be as convenient as knowing you're going to have 80-degree weather that we had there when we were there playoff time.
Going back to last season, do you have like any fun or good stories of you guys when you guys were on the road?
Yeah, they probably have more, but it just we
slowly
were
leaking.
in Iowa, and I got a heads up like right before I went to the third game in Iowa. We were gonna maybe a second. We were going to Bloomington to play the next day, and so all the guys bring their bags down because the hotel's connected right to the rink in Iowa, and I get updated that there's a issue with the bus and we might not be able to go. And I'm like, well, all right, well, can they get us another bus here? And they're like, not tonight. Won't get here till tomorrow. And the game at Bloomington's at 3:00 the next day, so we got to make that drive. And so we didn't even want to tell the players. So the players had no idea until the game was over, and then we kind of let them know. And their biggest, worry now is, okay, well, what time do we got to leave tomorrow? And I'm like, I think we had to leave at like 9:30 or 10 in the morning or something to get over there and play that game. And it's just, I don't know if that was a fun story, but it just shows the chaos of it all at times where you're just like, and I'm like yelling at my support staff, like trainers, equipment, don't tell anybody. Nobody. And then come to find out, they told one of the guys who weren't playing, and they're like, well, he's not playing. It doesn't matter. I'm like, he's going to tell everybody else. And so there's always a little bit of chaos that's involved in it all. The year before, we were told it was going to take us 11 hours to get to Charleston. And I mean, it was like a 15-hour bus ride. I'm like, why are we not on a plane right now? So it's, there's always things that are going to happen throughout the year, but our divisional travel is really easy actually. So, it's just finding a good restaurant when we get to town and making sure we get some good food in us. And now I basically have my favorite spots in every one of our division spots. So I'm ready to go.
And at least you guys haven't forgotten your jerseys for a game. So
yes, I've only seen that once.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, another crazy talk about chaos is when Austin Kaiser had to be the e-bug.
Yeah. You don't see that again. That was a breakfast conversation that, who was it that couldn't go? Guylander was in net, I think. So Bedsy got called up, I think. Yeah, Bedsy was going to Grand Rapids, and there's normally emergency backup goalies in every town, and it just happened that the three that Kalamazoo had, none of them were available for different reasons, and so somebody said it to me. They're like, "Well, just have Austin do it," and I'm like, well, let's find a different solution than that. And then, but then we end up having to use them. And I come in, like the last meeting is 8 minutes before puck drop. And so the guys usually go out on the ice at about the 3-minute, 8-minute one. We just give the starters maybe the last little talking point before we go. We've already done all the bigger meetings. And I look over, and Austin's face is, from the warm-ups, as red as could be. I was worried, like he's gonna have a heart attack, and like his face color did not change until about midway through the second period. So the guys made him work hard in that warm-up. There was no doubt about that, because I thought his head was gonna pop off.
You told us last year some specialty jerseys messed with the analytics guys because of the numbers blending in. Which jersey night are you most excited about this year?
I haven't even looked at them. I saw the Peanuts one like the other day. Like it got sent in an email. Looked good. Numbers are bright. Shouldn't have any issues. Saw the military jersey. Looked phenomenal. But I don't think they showed the back of it. If I remember right, because camouflage can get weird with the analytics. But I don't even know what other nights we have this year. I love when I just show up and they're like, oh, it's Rocky night, like who knows what it's going to be when you come to Toledo.
That Fanatics night's going to be interesting because it's got all of the season ticket holders on the jersey. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that looks.
Yeah, they had a picture of it the other day at the fan event, and I was like, they're gonna have all the names. They're going, yep, they're just rimmed around the bottom right here. I was like, okay, and it's a great idea, and
Oh, yeah.
those fans are gonna know exactly where there is on every jersey as soon as they come.
Maybe a tough question for you, but a fun one. You've been, in the league a couple of seasons now. How are you different as a coach today than you were when you first came into Toledo?
You know what? I'm probably a little bit more, patient. It's just such a long year. I think in juniors, it's 10 games less. It's, a much more consistent practice schedule. I probably am just a little bit more patient, kind of go with the flow of where we're at as a group. And we spend as much time as a staff talking about that. From all of our little conversations with all the guys of just kind of seeing where they're at. And so, sometimes you just know you got to take your foot off the gas and, like there's a bigger journey down the road. So you just try to, be a little bit more patient, slow down a little bit at times and understand that we're still making progress, even if we're not, racing down the tracks.
Yeah, and I'm also sure dealing with that Hawk guy teaches you patience every day too. So,
he's the first player at the rink every day. Like, and
I'm not surprised.
He just loves being there. He sits in the equipment room every morning, watches the NHL highlights from the night before on the NHL network, and then kind of greets every guy as they come in, and then as things get up a little bit more up to speed, then everybody's kind of moving and doing the same things. But he kind of starts out his day the same way. And, I've loved having Roe as his little guy around the rink and, and just to kind of see him as a dad now and, Roe recognizing the rink now and everything that's going on there. It's neat. That's the first time I've, coached somebody with a kid and it's, you kind of bring back, and I remember some of the days I had when my young ones got to come to the rink as well.
That's really cool.
Obviously, like the fans have this crazy like expectation and there's like almost a pressure, right? Like how do you manage it without it getting too heavy on you guys?
I think the biggest thing is just to talk about it and understanding that we're just in our moment right now. We can't even worry about what happens late in this season, and I think that's somewhere that segments really help us out. Let's just worry about where we're at right now and stay grounded. There's an expectation that we all talk about it. We all know that we want to give ourselves the opportunity to play very meaningful games at the end of the year. And for 2 years straight since I've been here, long before I got there with Waddy, there's been those games played, over and over again. And, at the end of the year, there's going to be one Florida Panther, team, like that Stanley Cup, to see what they go through and what a special group they have. And, now they're sitting there trying to retain all those pieces back because they understand it and how much it takes to get to that point. And so, us understanding how much it took just to get to where we got to this year, that's why it's important to have so many guys who have been through it and have lived that experience and they've lived that expectation as well.
It's kind of tough too, because like in the off season, you guys have such a short off season. When you guys are playing that long away from hockey, like what do you do like summer day off? Like how are you able to kind of reset, rejuvenate on the personal end?
Being up north, I have all my family here, so it's people you don't see. They're my brothers, my sister, their kids, everybody, my parents. It's just that kind of is our reset when we get up here. My kids that live away from home are able to get here. Like I saw my oldest son and daughter, once each during the season they were able to come. my daughter graduated PA school in May. I wasn't able to make that. We had a game that day, so you kind of get to re-engage on everything that you missed during the year. And then kind of, I golf a few times. When I was younger, I golfed a ton. I probably golfed 4 times this summer. We purchased a boat, so we use that, when we can during the summer, and you enjoy what the UP has to offer, which is the outdoors and being on lakes and hanging out and doing a lot with family.
Can't get better than spending the summertime up there. Honestly, it's probably the best way to relax. But to wrap up here, the last thing I've got for you in this one, Toledo's fans are obviously incredible. So from the head coach of the team, yourself, what's your message to those fans heading into this year?
I welcome them back to doing what they do, and they make it the most electric building to be in. They bring a different level of excitement. When I can see people lining up for a bobblehead when I'm coming in for the morning skate that day, and they're getting their spot to make sure they get one of the Brandon Hawkins bobbleheads. It's unique, and I love being part of it. We talk a lot about representing our city, and I like this group that we've put together. We're going to need to grow as a team throughout this year, but I think this group will represent that fan base extremely well.
I 100% agree. And it is an incredible fan base. This season I had a buddy that I took to his first walleye playoff game, and he's a writer in the hockey world here. And immediately when we left the game, he's like, I need to write an article about Toledo. I have to. And did a whole bunch of other research and everything and dropped that article. That's just how infectious that fan base is for someone that goes around to all levels of hockey to immediately go, I need to write something about this place. It's special. That just tells you everything you need to know.
That's what it is. Like I knew it was going to be cool. Like when I talked to you guys 2 years ago, I knew it was going to be a cool venue. I knew, everybody had told me how special. You get into it, like it's completely different. There's Ralph Engelstad Arena in North Dakota. I would have said that was one of the most electric places I was ever in, and Toledo tops it. Like there's hockey venues that just separate themselves, and we're fortunate to have one of them.
100%. Well, Pat, that's all we have for you today, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. We'll have to catch up, obviously, once the season starts. You'll see us down there doing the usual thing. But again, we just appreciate everything you've done for us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your off season.
I will, guys. I can't wait to see you guys at the rink. That means the real games are happening, and again, we appreciate everything you guys do to tell our story as well.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Hope we enjoyed that sit down with the head coach of the Toledo Walleye, Pat Mikesch. I know we enjoyed it. It's become an off-season tradition over his last 2 seasons, so it's good to have him back and to hear him talk about last season, how it ended, how he thought they deserved a longer series, and then also just a little bit about free agency and how it's such a waiting game. That's one thing that I didn't really realize. Obviously, it's a little different in the ECHL. Like when July 1st hits in the NHL, everybody's free agents. That's a UFA, and it's a little different in the coast. It's more structured, which you heard, and I think that was a couple points that stood out to me, and then also just how much different roster construction is going to be this year. Outside of the defense, I think defensively we pretty much, we know a lot of the guys. There's a lot more change up front.
Yeah, and not only up front though, but in the net. Like that's my always focus is like who's gonna be the goalie this year. So he did talk about a little bit on Liam and how that came about. I'm excited because it's a college guy, so I'm excited about that, and see how he kind of proves himself this year. And then who knows who Detroit will give Toledo to either start or back up or what. So that was an interesting piece there from Pat on the goalie side.
I still think you see the 50-50 split myself.
It's so tough. Like because the college guys, they don't play that much throughout the season. There's only like 24, 25 games, right? And so it would probably be a big jump for this guy to take how many games? 40, right?
What?
Yeah.
30, late 30s. There's only 71 games, but so
That's-
30. You figure he played roughly about 30 in a season in college. He was probably not playing every game. You're going to need probably 32, 33, 34 starts potentially, and then you're going to have another guy as well. So it's going to be very interesting. I think last year it's weird with the organization and where we're at, because we went from having way too many goalies to now it's like, okay, we have almost a perfect amount. If you look at the numbers wise, you get 2 in Detroit, 2 in GR, and 1 gets assigned here. So it's like they have like that perfect blend. But again, you're going to see PTOs get signed by Detroit. You're going to potentially see PTOs with GR. Don't rule out another goalie with Toledo potentially. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the roster looks like. I think you're starting to see it. It was interesting to see him go into camp with like 25, 26 guys. I think the roster limit was 23 at the beginning of the year. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, right? And a huge thank you to him, though, for stopping by in the middle of summer. He doesn't get a long summer. He's working, like you said, his phone every day. So that's a huge thing for him to take some time out of his day.
And it's just to entertain us,
Pretty much.
We're just 2, 3 guys talking hockey in the off season, trying to create some content, put some content out to the listeners. So he jumped out. He jumped out early too. I felt so bad about that because I typically behind the scenes, here you go. So I typically set the room 15 minutes before just so we could get in there, kick it, talk, and kind of warm up. And I think we all jumped out at like 20, 7:20, and he was already on there. I was like, oh man, coach is gonna be mad. Like, we're all a little late here.
Well, yeah, I was like 7:30 and I jump on and everybody's in there already. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm late to the party.
No, he was on when I was there, and I think Brandon was jumping on at the same time. So I felt a little bit bad about that. Sorry, Pat. So but yeah, because we'd all agreed on 7:30, and there he was, 7:15 early.
Yeah.
Bad on me. But yeah, I'm excited. I know we've got some other guests coming on for the next couple, and if you listen to this one, you should, there's some hints throughout this one who our next guest will be. That we already interviewed him. We interviewed him right after, so that'll be coming out. We've got
a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Oh my gosh! Oh shit! It's been a long time coming. So he'll be on. That was a fun interview as well, and we'll do one Griffins one in between. So that'll be coming out, and that's a big one. I'm excited for that one too. That's a guy we have not interviewed yet, and big piece of Griffins lore as well. So some fun stuff coming up. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
Anything else, Trav?
No, I don't. I think we're all very excited that it's getting closer, man. You look at the calendar and it's like we leave in a month. Poor Brandon be on his own with God knows what else. But
I won't be here either.
Yeah, no, that's why I said we'll be leaving. You'll be in Spain. I'll be, I don't know, in like 5 different states in 2 weeks. So
hopefully
it's going to be very interesting.
Right.
As the preseason's going on, me and Nick say, see ya.
Yeah. I kind of feel a little bad about it, but at the same point, whatever. It is what it is. And we'll be back for the season, and it'll be exciting. But yeah, season's coming. It's like we got football starts this weekend, and then college hockey actually dropped their schedule over the weekend. I don't know if you saw that, Trav. So that'll be coming out, or that's already out. So I'm trying to figure out the schedule. Brandon and I looked at it a little bit this weekend while we were out in Detroit. So, I'm excited to kind of get to some more college games and see Sturtsy. If you haven't checked out that interview, that was our last one. And the one thing I learned about that, it's been almost a week now, is Trav's face brings in the reels, the views. Sturtsy is a little bit better, a little bit lower than yours, and then I'm dead last. So now I know not to put my face as the cover. so funny.
No comment.
Your
No
face
comment.
is crushing it. So
No comment, man.
People
No
tuning in for you, Trav and T-Town.
comment.
But we'll wrap up, right? You got nothing else?
Nothing else for me, man.
It's a quick one.
Yeah.
We got Chatty Brandon off today, so it's nice clean intro outro for us. We do have to thank our sponsor, Everything Hockey. Go in, use code WEST. It is active. I have been shopping for hoodies, so go out there. I really liked it. Trav, I can't wait till we can get you one. It's a skate lace hoodie, super nice. They got some Selly ones out for the new season. Go out, check them out. With that, I think it's $3. It's 10%. It's something right now off your order. So go in, check them out. Especially right now with the way the weather is, so nice and cool. Get you ready, warm for hockey season. We'll go through Patreon real quick, but I do want to make sure that everybody does, if you haven't already, like, subscribe for the episode. Go through YouTube, subscribe to us, please. That's a huge help on our end. We are so close. Our goal is 500. My goal is 500. So we're so close to 500. If you go in there, like, subscribe, it is free. Doesn't cost you anything. If you want to pay us, you're able to through Patreon. That is where you could find these lovely listeners. So right now our Patreon is free. So go in, you'll get, I was dropping some reels before they were coming out, especially for episodes that haven't aired yet. So you'll be able to get a little bit of an inside access, kind of see some stuff before it releases. The episodes are unedited unless they're interviews. Those ones we gotta edit those ones out with some of the off-air stuff. But go over, join them. When the season starts, we'll send an email back out, letting everybody know we're turning it back on. But right now we've got Randy, Alan, Derek, Elaine, Griffin, John, Lori, Michael, Tyler, Claire. D-Boss is D-Boss. Yes, go over, like us on YouTube, like us Spotify. Can you like us?
Everything wherever you can find podcasts, basically.
Where can you find it, Trav?
Apple, Spotify, God knows where else. Just Google Hockeytown West, you'll find us.
Yeah, you'll find us. But yeah, it'll be a huge help. Even if you can't join the Patreon, go find us there, share us, retweet, repost, like our stuff. That always helps the algorithms as well. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.